Hi, this is Stover, the barbecue hunk. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Have a hunky day.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to. Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate sushi or wiener.
But listen, Liberty, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show, and we talk about live fire stuff right here on this show. Still to come on the second hour portion. John McLemore and John McLemore II from Masterbuilt. Masterbuilt.com is their website if you want to check that out as we talk it up here this evening. Don't forget, you can follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snappy, Snapchat / BBQ Central Show on Facebook, which is where you can also find a video feed. We're also over here on YouTube Live, where I'm monitoring the chat. Top people in the industry like John Solberg, Diane Mee, and Beer Champ Barbecue are all in. Why aren't you in there taking part? Oh, it's so great. So happy to have everybody. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 120, taking you back to April 6th, 2010. And during that segment, I talked to a fella by the name of Bob Garnash, a.k.a., and this is what he calls himself, B.O.B., or how we say it in America, a Bob. Does that name ring a bell? For the diehards, it does, because this guy saw the benefits of rotisserie cooking, but took it a step further and created a product called what? You remember? You remember what it was called? You got it, the Ribolator. Rib-O-Lator. Simply put, instead of the traditional like spit rod with those tines, or it kind of limits you. It's whole birds and roast, big stuff. This guy uses the traditional spit rod, except he made a 4-trade carousel that mounts to the rod. So you stick the rod in the motor, flip the switch, and away you go. But instead of it circulating itself, you now have 4 trays of varying lengths and widths that you could stick, let's say, a rack of ribs. And then in the next tray, 10 chicken wings. And then in the next tray, 4 fillets of whatever freaking fish you like. And in the next tray, a flank steak cut to size. I mean, I don't know. And if it fits in the Ribolator, you can cook it. And yes, it is still available today. If you go to Ribolator.com, that's a website that comes up. You can watch the product explanation video where the guy says, "Hi, I'm B.O.B." Or as we say in America, Bob. And he goes through the whole thing. And it has been revised over the years. The Ribolator used to be a sponsor of the show 100 years ago. They also used to make the, what the hell? The Smoke Dome? Or the Smoke something or other. It was a big box that you filled with chicken. Chicken that you filled with wood chunks and chips, and you put it on your grill. I forget. There was a fancy name besides the Ribolator. The Smoke Box. It was way cooler than Smoke Box, I tell you this. But if you're interested in something like that, if you already have a whole rotisserie setup and you're looking for something a little different than the normal rotisserie tines, then I think a Ribolator or something, and it's really not that outlandishly expensive when I was looking at it. So Again, Ribolator.com. Why not? Former sponsor of the show. Backyard Barbecue Show. I like big racks. I get it. You can put big racks in the Ribolator. Many of you slammed me with the Smithfield plant shutdown happenings in South Dakota over the last couple days. I did reach out to Laura Paul, who's my contact from Smithfield here on this show, and asked if there was anything else she wanted me to add on top of the release that Smithfield sent out yesterday. And she said that since it was a corporate release, that is the corporate position, and it is final. So if you didn't hear about it, just search Smithfield closes Sioux Falls, South Dakota plant, and you will get all of the information that you need. But basically, I had an incredible amount of coronavirus infections, and from one day to the next, it was an incredible increase. So I don't know if there wasn't proper social distance. I mean, some of you don't think that even social distance has anything to do with it. Whatever you believe, Smithfield has shut it down. Some people are seeing this as a way to Smithfield to jack up pork prices, because shutting down the plant is basically, in effect, taking out 18 million meals per day is coming out of what that plant produces. So it's definitely going to be a hiccup in the food chain. However, I would also contend to you that there's other pork producers out there. So while Smithfield's removal from the food chain is certainly huge and will be affected, there's other pork to buy, of course. So, and then there's this. Let me ask you something. What will your coronavirus memory be years from now? Will it be that term social distancing that we hear so much? Will it be the remembrance of how crippled business and the economy became during that time? The record-breaking amount of unemployment that continues to grow? I don't know what yours is going to be. Mine is going to be how we as a fervent society brought to the forefront an industry that I had no idea existed. That being the industry of big cats. And I'm not talking about big cats like you have a big-ass house cat. I'm talking about tigers and mountain lions and puma and lynxes and big freaking wild cats. I'll remember that within a 2-week, 3-week time frame, everybody in America who had a Netflix account watched this documentary exposing what is the seedy underbelly of the keeping of big cats across the land, especially the one dude with the worst dyed blonde mullet I have ever seen in my life, ever. His name, Joe Exotic. And trust me, Joe Exotic ain't a looker, and he ain't rich, and he ain't swole. But I'll be damned if that guy couldn't snag a man-wife with the precision of a military sniper. Hell, he was so good at one point, he had 2 man-wives at the same time. And then there was the kook over in South Carolina who bills himself as a doctor, but we all know that he's no damn doctor. He's as much of a doctor as Dr. Dre. In fact, push comes to shove, I'd rather have the Beats doc carve me open to save my life than Doc Antle. But here's the best thing. Do you know what the running commonality between, could you imagine that there is a the running commonality between Doc Antle and Joe Exotic, which happens to be their unique ability to pull multiple sex partners and make them their wives and or husbands. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought that America turned into the state of Utah overnight. And who knew this industry had so many opportunities to pull from? Doc Antle has like 5 wives. 5 wives. The dude in Sister Wives is jealous of how many wives Doc Antle has. And rarely do you hear the terms brainwash or cult thrown around willy-nilly. But in this documentary, it's as common as the word tiger and king. Doc Antle and Joe Exotic are either the biggest studs around or they need to be arrested, like yesterday. And I'm not saying that there's sex trafficking involved, but the tigers are laughing at the amount of human beings being run through these places. And don't even get me started on that bitch Carol Haskins. I'm not even touching that. So if you haven't wasted those 7 magical hours of your life yet, don't be Mr. or Mrs. Macho and say you're not going to watch it. Fuck that. Fire up the Netflix. Get on board this crazy train. It's not like you have anything better to do anyway. Stay socially distant and do this. Try not to fall in love with Joe Exotic, especially if you're a heterosexual male. It's almost impossible not to have. It almost happened to me when I was watching it. Also, for the ladies, try not to fall in love with Doc Antle, regardless of your sexual orientation. He'll get you. His personality is magnetic. Who knew tiger cubs could be such a lure for men and women alike? Now I know. Years, perhaps decades too late, but now I know. Get on board with Tiger King, folks, because this is something that you will be mind blown about. You thought Competition Barbecue had a seedy underbelly. No, sir. The keeper of big cats is the seediest of underbellies there is today. Within a 3-week time frame, that thing was introduced into Netflix and is like the biggest thing ever. Tiger King. What? You know how many times I've had any interest in owning a tiger in my life? 0 times. Do you know why? They're tigers. You turn your back on a tiger, it's going to eat your head off. That's what's going to happen. You have cages where you can keep tigers? What's wrong with you people? All right, we have the guys from Masterbuilt coming up. Maybe they have tigers. We'll ask them. I'll talk to you quickly about Southside Market and Barbecue. Established in 1882, Southside, one of the oldest barbecue joints in Texas. They've been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. Famous for the original beef sausage, of course. It's coarse ground and a natural pork casing. And they have authentic Central Texas barbecue as well. All meats, including the prime brisket, are slow smoked for many hours over real Texas post oak wood. They're shipping nationwide via the online store, southsidemarket.com. Shipping customers can choose to order now, ship later, include a custom gift note, and mail to multiple addresses without additional charges. All shipped items vacuum sealed to ensure freshness and ease of preparation for the customer upon arrival. The meats are processed on that on-site USD-inspected facility. They have 2 restaurants if you want to eat. Elgin, Texas since 1882 and Bastrop, Texas since 2014. Grocery distribution through Texas and many surrounding states. But if you're going to be at SouthsideMarket.com, do this at checkout. Use promo code BBQ Central. That's BBQ CENTRAL and get 10% off your entire order at SouthsideMarket.com. Once again, that's promo code BBQ Central. Works the first time, works the 10th time, works the 110th time. Every single time. SouthsideMarket.com. And we are back with the guys at Masterbuilt, the masters of smoke. Stick around. We'll be right back. Hit the wrong button. Here we go.
Monthly visits from a killer hog, a cooking guy, a man named Meathead, the author of Barbecue Bible, a grill girl, a bristly barbecue journalist, and the malfeasance of the barbecue world known as the embedded correspondents. Only found right here on the Barbecue Central Show.
That's right. We are back, and this portion of the show is being brought to you by Smithfield. That's right. Throughout the grilling season, enjoy recipes, as long as you get your hands on Smithfield pork, by pit legends like Chris Lilly and Darren Worth and Ernest Cervantes, Childs Cridland, mouth-watering flavor, no artificial ingredients. Smithfield fresh pork, quite simply, some of the finest pork money can buy, and trusted by world championship pitmasters for use at competitions and at home. Sure, why not? Smithfield.com. All right. My guests in the second hour are running one of the biggest names in the industry. You know them for their propane and electric cookers. Some might know them for their pellet cookers. And many of you quickly learning about their new gravity-fed cooker that was just recently introduced to the market. Here to talk about the history of the company and how it's evolved over the years. So let's hit the hotline and welcome first-timers to the show, John McLemore and John McLemore. How about that? Hey, guys, how are you?
Good. What's going on, man? How you doing?
We're absolutely fabulous. Appreciate you guys making time for the show here this evening, and excited to talk to both of you here. So let's, before we get into the backstory of the company, we obviously are in unprecedented times here, not only in this country, but the world as well. So from a business standpoint and how we're operating right now, how is Masterbuilt doing from a business perspective, given the circumstances?
I'll let you take that one.
Yeah. Well, Greg, first of all, thanks for having us on the show. Hopefully we'll be second timers. From a business standpoint, we count our blessings, man. I'll be honest with you. I've been in this for 47 years, seen just about everything that can come towards a company. Never seen anything quite like this. So overall, man, we're doing really well. Our company has abided by all of the rules to do what we need to do to keep our employees safe. Everybody that we do business with safe. So I would say we are doing as good as we can do. Business is hanging in there. So, don't want to go through this again. We can certainly check the box in our almost 5 decades from everything that can be everything. We can now add pandemic to the checklist. And I'll tell you, it's been one of the more difficult things because, when you abide by social distancing and do what you need to do to keep our country and people safe, it changes your company and the people that you have as your second family. Not seeing those, you said a while ago, the things that you're going to remember most, that's going to be one of the things that we will remember most in Masterbuilt is we're a very close-knit family, the McLemores are, and Masterbuilt is our second family. So not seeing everybody every day has been a challenge, but we're doing good.
You guys aren't keeper of big cats, are you?
We are not.
I'm a dog guy.
I'm a dog guy.
I'm a dog guy.
I'm not a cat guy.
Here.
All right.
Don't do that.
Georgia Bulldogs. I got it. Like it.
Yes, sir.
All right, so
unfortunately. Yeah.
Let's get some personal background on you guys. And John, too, you can start here. Where do you live? And do you guys, obviously, John Sr., you have a family because you got your son sitting right next to you. And where's the company based out of?
Yeah, so Masterbuilt was founded in 1973 by my grandfather. Founded here in Columbus, Georgia, and started actually he built a fern stand for my grandmother, and it just kind of evolved selling product off of his trailer as a salesman for Goodyear Tire Rubber Company, and stopped doing that with 4 sons and started the business, started hand making products, and in the 1980s went into the baker's racks and got into fryers, and then in the early 2000s we did the indoor electric turkey fryers, the world's first, and sold those on channels like QVC and many others, and was wildly successful, and that's really where we saw our biggest growth. Yeah. And then in the mid 2000s we got into the electric vertical smoker space, and that's probably where we put our name in the hat in terms of the industry, and just very blessed to have sold great products to great customers and very loyal fan base out there, very active in the communities. And this is kind of your saying, we pride ourselves on research and development, not research and duplicate. And to be quite frank, that's kind of why we chose to focus on the charcoal product that you see behind us. We make lots of different, styles of cooking products. But we wanted to go after something a little different, and we really feel like we have hit the jackpot in terms of the product behind us. But on the family side, I'm 3rd generation McLemore family in Masterbuilt. So blessed to be a part of it, working with my dad. And you can speak to working with Pawpaw, but just a great family business and a great environment.
Let me ask you. Let me interrupt you just for a second here, because it is interesting. I mean, rarely do I have an opportunity to talk to 2 generations of what is a 3rd generation company. So, John, as your father starts the company, as you said. It started as a fern holder, like literally a fern plant holder.
Yeah.
And he was making those, and from what I understand, doing some research, you fill up a cart or a wagon full of fern stands and start peddling them, or attempted to peddle them around the neighborhood. Maybe didn't find as much luck as you were hoping for. Your dad didn't seem to know that, but that's all right. Whatever he doesn't know, no problem. But it eventually evolves into, of all things, first a fryer business, not necessarily grills right off the bat.
Correct. Well, what's interesting about most of the products that we've developed in our history and in Masterbuilt's past is we did the products for our own personal use, Greg. My dad made the plant stand for my mom, and we built the first fish cooker because we did fish fries in our backyard. And my dad made one, and from there we went from fish cookers to turkey fryers, propane turkey fryers, and again, building products that we love to use. And it really just evolved from there. Most of what we did, we actually used ourselves. And what we've learned over the years is the products that we still use today have been our most successful products. We still build fish cookers. We still build turkey fryers. The vertical smoker space that we're in, not just the electrics, but the propanes. It was one of the things that allowed us to get in the backyard, enjoy doing what we're doing, and couldn't had a better growing up with my dad doing that literally from our backyard to growing to now being a worldwide company. It's been a pretty cool journey.
Yeah, and you talk about his wagon story. My wagon story was at 17. I graduated early at 17 out of high school, and he told me I had to go to Birmingham, Alabama, and I couldn't come back unless I hit my sales goal, and I didn't hit my sales goal.
So he's still in Birmingham.
I'm still in Birmingham, but
green screen.
I didn't hit my sales goal, and I was too young to get a hotel. And so after 8 hotels, I finally got one, and I was almost outside of Birmingham by that point. But so it's been a long journey, but we've had a great time.
John, when you were coming up, did you feel a pressure that you had to follow in your father's footsteps in order to keep this thing going, or were you pretty passionate about it right off the bat?
You know, the answer...
Which John?
Oh, I'm sorry. John Sr.?
Oh, okay. See,
okay.
I have a follow-up question for John, too, on that regard, too. So
okay.
There you go.
All right.
I started in Masterbuilt when I was 8 years old, and
I didn't.
Yeah.
Child labor laws were involved.
it was a better time back then.
I never remember not enjoying hanging out with my dad, whether it was in the backyard or when we got into our first rented buildings, and building the products with him. So I think I always had a passion for the company, but it just kind of happened. I don't know that when I was 8 and 12 and, even, getting into high school that I had this particular thing in mind with it. I just enjoyed it so much that I had the passion for it. Loved the fact that I was able to carry on what my dad had started, and I was working for free, basically. I take that back. I made $1 a week, Greg, when I was from 8 to 14, and I had to have a passion for it because I certainly wasn't doing it for the money.
Yeah, right.
And I remember the first time I asked my dad for a raise, he told me to turn around and bend over. He was going to give me a raise. He was, we were in a rented 1,200 square foot house. There were 7 of us, and my dad was, trying to make a go with this new business. And it's an interesting story about how we, got the name Masterbuilt. We're a Christian-based company. We don't shy away from that at all. Actually, my dad said a prayer when he was naming the company, Greg. He said, hey, God, if you will help me with this, you're the master, I'm the builder. I'll name the company after you, which is where the name Masterbuilt came from. So to answer your question, I think I always had a passion for it. And it just kind of evolved from one thing to the other. Right out of high school, I was 18 years old. I became an owner in the company. Just after 20 years old, I became the president of a company. I had never gone to college. I was not qualified to be the president of a company, and it wasn't because I was the best one for the job. I was just the only one at the time that would take it. And I think it was passion that drove us. We did things that we really didn't have a lot of an idea that we could accomplish until we actually did it. We didn't strategize about a whole lot of things. We just actually did them and figured it out as we went. And I do think passion drove that.
Now, maybe you're being a little bit modest here, John, because you did have quite a bit more substantial vision for Masterbuilt than your dad probably did. He was taking it to a certain distance, kind of, out of the back of the van, out of the back of the car. But as you start to assume responsibility of this company, you realize that you want to make partnerships. You want to get into bigger retail box stores to really expand the brand. That's kind of your hallmark of bringing Masterbuilt to that next level.
Right. Well, and I can say I remember talking to Poppa not too long ago about how he was giving kudos to Dad because he was like, "Oh man, I wanted to make a living and retire." And these guys, my sons had bigger vision, and specifically Dad to take on a larger role and really take it further than he said. He was like, I wasn't capable to do what you guys did.
I think that really started probably when I did get into high school, because from age 8 to 14, it was kind of just something I was doing as a kid. But as I got a little bit older and realized, hey, I'm going to become an owner of this thing, we had conversations about that at an early age. I did think that as we were going to expand, my dad, as John was saying, wanted to have a smaller company, something that he wanted to do just for himself. And I did have a broader vision of that to expand outside of just, the local area around Columbus, Georgia, to growing it to be a national company. And I think I did have a vision of what that could look like and expanding it for our larger family. So I do think that did evolve over time. And I did have this idea that I wanted to figure out ways to duplicate what we were doing. When you're a small family business, I firmly believe that the most successful companies are companies that have great people around them. And we were very fortunate to have great people to help us grow the company. We were, instead of peddling products off the back of our pickup trucks, we learned how to ship products, with UPS and FedEx and Freightliners. And we went from fern stands to fish cookers to baker's racks to smokers to now this Gravity Series grill that has revolutionized, what we think in charcoal grilling. Certainly got the attention of a lot of competitors out there and the people that are using the product. So certainly excited about that. And I will tell you, the team, I think most of them are probably listening to this podcast right now, helped us develop this thing to take it where it is right now.
All right, John, let me ask you this question. Third generation, is there not one portion of you that says, man, I got to blaze my own trail. I got to get out from the thumb of Masterbuilt and do my own thing. My dad followed my grandfather. I want to be my own guy. Ever had that feeling at all? Oh, that's not no.
Easy.
That's not no.
No. To be quite, I get asked that quite a bit. To be quite honest, the answer's been no. Sure, there's times. You're a human being. There's times where you're like, I'd like to put my own stamp on something. I'd like to put, have my own road to take. And to be honest, this is kind of, this brand right here is part of that. This is something that Dad and I are doing as it's our ambassador program for Masterbuilt, but it's our own brand that we're launching our own channel through and doing our own cooking thing. But in certain ways, sure. But to be honest, no, because I love what I do. The question you asked earlier, it was kind of two parts to that. And my answer was yes to both of them, because is there pressure to live up to, what your dad has set before you, of course. But the passion, I was very fortunate, Greg, to, I think, be good enough at what I do, but to love what I do. And I think when you love something enough, it becomes your hobby, and you don't work a day in your life because you love it so much. And to be honest, there's such a level of pride on my end. The statistics are against third generation families. I want to say it's like sub 1% of third generations that make it to the third generation, and then stay intact, and not go bankrupt, and not family kill each other, and not. But we're fortunate to have. We're best friends. And we get at each other like we are friends. But yet, I understand my role is he's still my authority. He's my spiritual authority in a lot of ways, but he's also my authority in terms of work. He still has, I'll age you, twice as much experience as I do.
Almost.
That was nice.
Almost exact.
That was nice.
And almost exact, yeah.
John's 12 and I'm 24.
Got it.
But no, man, to some degree, sure, yeah. I mean, when you kind of get into your own manhood, right? Of course, there's an element to you that's like, what is my thing? Where do people know me as? And to be honest, I think a lot of guys get ahead of themselves, especially with social media nowadays. I think people get ahead of themselves and they start looking at the success of one other individual, and they don't look at the body of work that you've put before yourself. And I think that will come when it's meant to come. And I think I'm enjoying the ride right now, and I love what I do. I love cooking. I mean, this quarantine thing is, to be honest, it sucks. But we have spent literally every day cooking. It has almost forced us to cook, learn, and part of our whole brand is to teach, eat, and repeat. And that's us teaching people and us learning because people are teaching us eating. If you saw my whole body, you would know that I love to eat. And
marbled, are you saying?
Repeat it.
If you saw some of our team members, you would know we love to eat.
I'd like to think that I used to be in shape and now I am one.
Yeah.
But, and then we repeat it. And to be honest, we've been fortunate. And you kind of look at the bright side of bad situations. We've been fortunate to repeat it, over the past 4 to 5 weeks now. And it's got us, spending good family time together and cooking. So,
all right, John and John 2 McLemore are joining me here on the show. Guys, can I hold you over and we can talk a little bit more in depth about the gravity fed here in a second?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, so stand by. We're talking with John McLemore and John McLemore. A lot of production stuff going on with me with this new program. Sorry for the delays. I will talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills. That's right, longtime sponsor of the show. Some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market. So 2 different choices, right? You have a Choice line, which is the original. You also have a Prime line, which is their most recent release. Prime, a little bit more robust on the chassis build, peak-in windows and the main cooking chamber, a pellet hopper. 2 internal meat probes, Wi-Fi technology. If you don't want any of the tech, you want to save a couple bucks, Choice line is where you want. I have a couple Choice lines on my deck right now. Those are the ones that originally came out. They work just fine. Some going on 8, 9 years old at this point. Either line, Jim Bowie and the Daniel Boone sizes will also accommodate that pizza oven insert that they have, which I love. You want to have big pizza parties. Everybody gets to make their own high-heat pie. The pizza oven insert is something you definitely want to consider when you're getting a Jim Bowie or Daniel Boone. If you want something a little bit more travel-friendly, the Davy Crockett is the one you're going to want to take a look at. I don't know if we'll have football season coming up here at any point, but if you're going to, take a walk in the backyard and you want something that you can take with you, it's a little lighter. Davy Crockett's the one you're going to want to check out. That's also the one that born out the 12-volt technology, which is what the Prime line is powered by as well. Great bunch of accessories and pellets and sauces, all that good stuff. Go to greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. And we are back with the masters of smoke, John and John McLemore. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. And this portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 2 sizes. There might be a 3rd size coming. Whether you're a beginner or professional, definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. We might get a look at that lifestyle room as an exclusive here in the next couple weeks, trying to line that up with Noah and Amber Glanville as we speak. All right. And we are rejoined by the masters of smoke, that being... Oh, sorry, guys. I'm trying to find the audio button here. There we go. Get your sound back on. John and John, too. I mean, a lot of things going on here behind the scenes. I should take a picture so you can understand the mania that I am dealing with here. But appreciate you hanging with me through the break. So let's talk about the Gravity Series 650 cooker. 560 cooker, right?
650.
Yeah.
We have a new one.
Guess what, guys? You're coming out with a new cooker. I'm announcing it right here on the show tonight. Congratulations. Let's talk about a cooker you don't know anything about. So it's the 560, and I want to talk about, when you have thought about Masterbuilt in the past, you think about those electric cookers and those propane, those cabinet-style cookers, and then you depart and go Gravity Series 560. So for those who are in the subculture, we obviously are pretty familiar with gravity-fed cookers and how they operate, but this unit bridges a gap nicely between low and slow and high heat. And by the way, no pellets. So whose idea was this? Let's be honest.
All right. So we've got an engineering team at Masterbuilt. These guys are probably listening. So Olin, I'll give a shout out to you. Adam, Bo. Our team back in here in Columbus, along with John and I, these guys came up with this concept basically at some competition cooks that they wanted to go to. And at the time, this was about 4 years ago, we basically said, look, guys, we are in the mass and we have a channel of distribution that we are selling our products to. We're not into the $5,000 to $10,000 trailer grill business. The team said, look, we understand what we need to do. And I said, guys, I'll give you the opportunity for the research and the development and the time and the money, as long as you will commit to give us one that could be in everybody's backyard in America, and now even overseas. So this product was developed with that in mind, and you're right. The gravity systems that are out there have been out there for a little while, but nobody had ever put one on the market that could be in the mass and the independent channels like we've done with the Gravity 560. Masterbuilt
or hit a high temperature,
or hit the from
at a grilling level. Yeah.
So basically, the process of us, and we didn't abandon any of our other products. We still do a tremendous business. We're still #1 in the world in vertical electric smokers. We have an amazing propane smoker. So we're still doing a lot of those, and there's a place for those. I still cook on them here at my house. But this particular product did several things. One, it gave people the flavor of charcoal that they wanted. It gave them the ability to slow smoke, grill, and sear from 150 to 275 in smoking, 275 to 400 in grilling, and then crank this baby up with the push of a button and go from those slow smoking temperatures and grilling temperatures all the way to 700 degrees and cook anything that you would want to.
Truly
with
sear, too.
The flavor of charcoal.
Yeah, and Greg, to me, this is always my spill. It's the power of gas. Mm-hmm. It's the convenience of electric and or what people are experiencing with pellet, but it's the flavor of charcoal. Yeah. And you get all of that in one, and it's 0 to 225 in 7 minutes, or it's 0 to 700 in 13 from a fresh light.
Yeah.
So it does any and everything that you can imagine you'd want it to do in between. So,
John, too, let me ask you.
So I really, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. So I was going to say, as I said earlier, in the success that we've had at Masterbuilt, this was a team effort within Masterbuilt. So I give kudos to our engineering and the design team for helping us to do this. We also listened to the consumers that were out there as to what they wanted with a product. We worked with our retailers as well in the process of getting this out there at the right price point and basically being able to get it to everybody in the masses. This product, I think you're going to see a lot more to come with it. I just want to make sure that our team knows that couldn't have done it without you guys.
When you're bringing a new product to market, and I'll use Weber as an example, they just enter into the pellet cooker market after never have been in that particular niche before. So as you guys make a bit of a departure from what you're traditionally doing, as you had mentioned, it's been in a phase for 4 years or so. Do you do an extensive amount of a testing phase before you even talk about bringing it into some type of a mass production? And then I guess perhaps a better question is, as a manufacturer, can you ever bring something to market, no matter the amount of testing prior, to where it's flawless from the outset? Is there always going to be something that comes up and bites you on the ankles?
I don't know. Ask Tesla.
I mean, I don't. There's, especially in the mass world, I guess my answer would be, I don't know if you can ever. I don't know if there's ever you can enlist. There's no budget to it. You can throw a bunch of money at it and make 1,000 of them, and all 1,000 be perfect.
Yeah, I think I think you could launch one way too early.
Sure,
but you could also always spend a little bit more time doing it, and we tried to master that. I mean, it took us 3 years to get the first one to where we could actually start showing it. We were testing it a ton. We cooked on the products within our team thousands of times, and we're still listening to our customers out there. So I think no matter, to John's point, what you put into the product, especially when we're trying to hit a price point as we did with this product at $4.99, I think we mastered it. I hope the people that are out there are super patient with us. It's a phenomenal product. We're going to continue to improve it by listening to our consumers out there, and we try to do that to the best of our ability. So I think we spent enough time to get this product launched properly, and we will continue as the next phases come out with it, and continuing to work on this one behind us.
And to be quite frank, Greg, with you, I can think of what's today's date? Is it
14th.
April now?
April 14th.
April 14th. So I can think of a year ago looking at a pre-sample of this grill, which was nearly 8 or 9 months before it officially hit the market, cooking on it, and the journey it's taken from that point to when it launched, and then the journey that the product has even taken since we launched it. I can remember I had specific conversations. Yeah, so I'll kind of summarize. I was basically explaining just the process that the product has taken since our early on samples. We've actually got one at our shop that we've tested, I don't know how many thousands upon thousands of times. That is one of the pre-samples that we've had that's been in the shop for well over a year. And it's still kicking good. And then when we launched it on November 15th, I was talking to customers the day we launched it, the day they got it in their hands. We troubleshot several firmware issues that we had, little glitches. And immediately the week of did OTA updates on the product and, address those concerns. Is any product perfect? No. You got to have, it's somewhat relative as, to the price point sometimes, but can products be better? Absolutely. And in our MO on the Masterbuilt side is we are very active in the community. We're very ears wide open to, what are the things that we can improve on and addressing them specifically with our team, which is why my dad and I have chosen to put ourselves out there, not just because we're, family, company, but we love it. We want the product to be good, and as good as it can be. And we've got a great responsive team that really engages in a positive way and wants the product to be as good as we care. And a lot of the guys that work for us are hobbyist cookers themselves. So we pride ourselves on that, and we love doing it. And what Dad said earlier is we make products. That's why Masterbuilt has been so successful for so long, is because we make products that we personally use and betters our lives. So we try to focus on problem solution. We felt like in the grilling, smoking, charcoal world, there was, a gap and a problem solution that we could, come out with a product with. And what you see behind us in this Gravity 560 and the Gravity series, and you'll see more of it coming forward, is, I think, a problem solution in that area. And I think it really masters, pun intended, masters all areas of outdoor cooking and barbecuing, grilling, searing, baking, reverse searing, smoking, low smoking, cold. I mean, you name it. It does all of that.
Yeah, and I mean, people invest money and time, and we want them to have a success, just like we do have, here when we're doing it. This product, we've always cooked with our family, but just this week, and we just did a live Instagram for Easter, and our whole family cooked on this product. My wife did the vegetables, daughter Brooke did the baked beans, Bailey did a dessert, John and I did the meats.
By the way, Bailey, we just did a video with my sister on our Masters of Smoke channel that'll be coming out next week, or probably later this week. That is a dessert baked. It's a baked monkey bread from a canned, what do you call it? A biscuit can?
Yeah.
A cinnamon roll can, and it is out of this world. And we, the brilliance of it is we baked it on the Gravity 560.
Yeah.
So it's a phenomenal product that's super versatile, and I think it takes charcoal. And this is the key that I think people that will, when it clicks. I'm telling you, Greg, when it clicks, when people start to understand, oh my gosh, you're telling me that, because they assume they see the hopper on the right side, and they assume it's a pellet concept.
Huh.
And when they realize, you're telling me that a charcoal grill, it separates the fuel, so it takes the fuel management complexity out of a charcoal grill. It makes it easy. Mm-hmm. And you're telling me I can have a charcoal grill to 700 degrees in 13 minutes and do everything in between. It's like it's almost like they can't understand. There's no moving components. They assume there's all this complexity to it, and it's not. We've taken all that complexity out, and I'm telling you, mark my words, this is going to make charcoal a weekday fuel source.
Yeah. Charcoal
predominantly is a weekend fuel source because it just takes longer to do, unless you're an enthusiast. And we're taking charcoal and we're going to put it in the backyards of the everyday American. I think that's where this product's heading, because it is that good of a product.
Yeah.
John, let me ask you a question. John, one. $500 price point. You look at the tech that it has on there. We can talk about that here in a second. I'm assuming that this isn't, like a USA made. By the way, we could have that conversation all day long, and I would probably go on a side that you probably wouldn't even expect that I would go on, because I think a lot of people love to talk shit about how much money that they're going to spend, and it would only buy American until they see how much an all-American made product is going to cost, and then they're happy to buy everything else but they have no problem talking about how they would do it. So do you have a great working relationship with let me ask you a better question. Are you getting in parts and assembling here, or is it all manufactured and it's shipping in and then you redistribute? How does that process work?
Yeah, it's completely made overseas, and yes. If anybody ever asks, would we rather make the product here? I mean, that's a simple answer. We certainly would.
Of course we would.
We're always exploring opportunities to do that. And the day may come that we do. But for right now, with Masterbuilt and most of the competitors that we've got out there are building the products overseas. We do have great relationships with our factories. And what we're doing here is all of the sales and the marketing and the engineering. We have a ton of jobs right here in the U.S. that are supporting this product. I mean, when we get asked that question, it's always an easy yes, we'd like to. But yes, it is made overseas.
Because you'd be looking at a $2,000 grill behind you if that was the case, right?
I would say it could be. It depends on a lot of factors.
Yeah.
If you brought parts from other parts of the country and then assembled it here, or manufactured 100% of it here, you could be looking at a product that could be 2 to 3 times more expensive.
Yeah, no doubt. The other aspect that we were kind of talking about offline was tech. So, I don't know. There were a lot of grill manufacturers. That's all they did. They built grills. They were kind of a hardware company. And then with the introduction of pellet cookers that had this Wi-Fi technology, well, all of a sudden people wanted to have something that went with their smartphone. So now this is forcing grill companies to be something that they're not used to being, which is now probably a whole side of the company, which is now a software company, which brings a whole set of everyday hurdles, user errors, product support, blah, 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 that you don't have to worry about when you're just dealing with the physical grill itself. So how did you employ or deploy your efforts to make sure that the tech side is matching up with the hardware side?
Well, I'll take that one, I guess, because that was probably
what are you trying to say?
Well, no, that was that was about 4 years of my life at the company was working on the tech side and the service side. And I'll name Scott, you know who I'm talking about, a guy that I worked really closely with on the firmware side, and Adam working really closely on the firmware side for a long time to take us from a simple push button, similar to your oven, set temp system, to a Bluetooth environment, to controlled cooking. And then we got away from it because a lot of our consumers and users that we found, they don't want the product to do it for them. They want you to guide them to a degree, but they still want some input. They want to feel like that's their masterpiece. And then to a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth system. We felt, even on the $500 price point, we've seen products that are 100% Wi-Fi and you don't have a controller interface. We've seen products that, are the complete opposite and everything in between. We felt like we wanted to give our consumer the complete choice because our demographic is quite wide.
Yeah.
But we do want to appeal to the younger generation. And then, technology learns. Generations learn technology as it evolves. Social media has widened in demographic every year over each year. So I think that part you have to do it now. And in terms of how do we employ and deploy on the software side, I think it's a growth. At one time, Greg, to be quite frank, we tried doing it 100% in house, and it's difficult. We're barbecue guys. We're not software engineers. And can you hire software engineers? Absolutely. Is it the smartest thing? No. I probably believe in the philosophy of kind of a half-half approach. I think you got to have some talent in-house, and I think you got to have some talent out of your company and sourced to some point because you got to have that perspective. And there's a trade-off at some point financially. I think the big thing right now is you see a lot of companies, they're getting away from Android. A lot of companies are not supporting Android apps anymore because it's just impossible to have a stable Android platform across all devices. And I've not seen anybody in the cooking space or cooking industry do that yet, but you do see companies in the service side of things almost getting away from Android. So how do we deploy it? To be honest, it's a learning curve. It has been over the past couple of years. I think we've really stabilized in the past 2, especially now having developed this. We've got some great relationships with some companies out of California and all over the country that help us do, over-the-air update firmware development, software development, app development, web development, internal embedded systems, et cetera, everything you know in between. And then we've got some talented people in-house that help us do it as well. So I think you've got to have both. But in terms of are we a software company? No, I wouldn't necessarily say that we are. I think we're really good at making barbecue grills and smokers, vertical electric smokers and fryers, and we find the right talent. You got to have the right person in the right seat. So.
Johns, let me ask you the final question here before I let you go, and I appreciate the time. Is there a bigger model on the horizon? I mean, I know we're just rolling out the first one, but we always have to talk about the next bigger and badder one. Is there something like that we could look forward to?
I would say yes.
You would say yes, but are you going to say yes?
I think that's.
I would say
the answer is yes. If you look at social media, I'll rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, the answer is yes, and I will tell you that it is out a little. There's going to be a much bigger presence with that over the next 30 to 45 days. We're super excited about it. So, yeah, anytime you have something like this in the 560 that everybody's kind of grabbed a hold of, they're wanting something more. We have been developing and working on that for quite a while.
Yeah.
So we are pretty excited about it.
We've got several independent channels that are our launch partners that we're allowing them to launch it first. We chose to go organic in terms of allowing the organic message to spread through those channels first, and then you'll see the brand side, Masterbuilt brand side, launching it later with the mass channels in the next 45 to 60 days.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you are in the market for a charcoal gravity-fed cooker that can do low and slow and high heat all the way up to 700 degrees, have the app connectivity, all that good stuff, the Masterbuilt 560 is the one you're going to want to be looking at. Is that available widely? Are you exclusive to stores, or where can people grab it?
Yeah, it is available pretty wide. Home Depot, Walmart, Amazon,
Academy.
Most of the sporting goods stores, Academy,
Masterbuilt.com.
So yeah, it's a broad distribution that we've got with the 560, and the bigger model coming out will be available in those channels soon to come, and there's actually going to be more after that. So we're pretty excited, and it's been just like everything else we've done, Greg. Part of the journey. We love learning from it, and what I love about what I do and gets me up every single day is being able to have a relationship with the people that love our products. We're listening. So if you've got something out there, John and I and our company at Masterbuilt will do the best we can to hear your voice.
Yep. And tune in with us, Masters of Smoke, launching a lot of content here soon. And Greg, we appreciate you having us on.
All right, it's John McLemore and John McLemore, or John and John 2. Great look back, guys. Certainly appreciate that and all the info on the 560 as well. Continued success. We'll talk again soon.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, thanks.
Have a good one.
All right, there they are. All right. Well, thank God that worked the second time around. Not sure. This is my fault, too, by the way. I would just like to say is, I don't know what's happening in my ears, but I shudder to think what the back half of that interview is going to sound like if it sounds that bad in my ears. But we'll see how it goes, Oh, boy, that music sounds bad. I can't wait to get out of the show so I can go back and listen to the recording immediately. Hey, before we head all the way out, don't forget you should be subscribing to the Smoke Sheet, bbqnewsletter.com, a great all-in-one resource covering the live fire industry. Also, in the first hour, we talked with Meathead, AmazingRibs.com, about resting steak. We also talked about resting big cuts like briskets and why that's different. And, of course, through the second hour here, the guys from Masterbuilt, John and John 2, McLemore, Masterbuilt.com. Now the music sounds bad. Great. Oh, boy. We got trouble. We'll see what happens next Tuesday. Big show planned. Stephen Reichland, Robin Lindars amongst the regulars. Who knows what's going to pile in otherwise. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. social distancing American, Greg Rempe. Good.